Hi everyone. Welcome to back to Dave's Top 3000 Songs of the Rock Era, formerly known as Old Time Rock and Roll. I'm your host David Tare, whereas the new title says I'm featuring my personal top 3000 songs of the rock era from 1954 to 1999. And today I'm up to song number 2544, and that one is I Got a Woman by Ray Charles. This was not a pop hit, but it was a number one R&B hit. And he released it in 1954. And I'll get into Ray Charles later. It was also released on his 1957 compilation album just called Ray Charles. And here's a picture of him early on. I think most of you guys are probably familiar with him. He's considered by many to be one of the most influential musicians of all time. I mean, he started out as an R&B musician. I think he first recorded in 1949. I'll get into him later. I think I first want to talk about the song "I Got a Woman." It was actually covered by many other artists. Ray Charles had the original version in 1954, but then I'll just tell you who else covered it. Elvis covered it in 1956, and then Johnny Halliday in 1962, and then in 1963 it was covered by the Beatles, Jimmy McGriff, Freddie Scott, and Ricky Nelson, and 1968 by Johnny Cash and June Carter Cash. Finally, in 2005 by the Johnny Maynard Trio. So very well covered song and a very well known song. And I guess I just want to say a little bit about it. I mean, it was written in 1954, and it might be considered a little sexist today. I don't know. I mean, there's a line in there which says, she knows a woman's place is right there in that home. I mean, basically she's just there for him, ready for him whenever he needs her. And I guess not too many people batted an eye at that in 1954. I don't think, because it was way before women's lib. But if somebody tried to write a song like this today, it would not go over well. I don't think. But I still think it's a really good song, especially the way he sings it and performs it. And now I'm just gonna go into Ray Charles' history. So, like I said, here's a picture of him early on. He was born in Albany, Georgia, in 1930, and he started recording in 1949. And he started with, he was a soul or R&B singer, and he played the piano too. And he was blind since childhood. That's why he wore these dark glasses like Stevie Wonder. And I think that I don't think anybody knows exactly what made him blind. I suspect it was glaucoma, but he got it as a child. I don't know exactly how old he was. I don't think he was born blind, but he became blind as a young boy. Um, but I think this probably enhanced his sense of music in the same ways it did with Stevie Wonder and probably Jose Feliciano, a number of other blind musicians. I mean, they do say when you lose one of your senses, the other ones become more enhanced. And I think that was certainly the case with Ray Charles because he just had an amazing sense of music. Anyway, he was known by the nicknames The Genius and Brother Ray. And he lived from 1930 to 2004. I remember when he died about 20 years ago. It was pretty tragic. And they even have made a movie about him called Ray, I think right around the time he died, maybe right afterwards. I can't remember. But um, anyway, I'm just going to go over his top 40 pop hits. He had tons and tons of hits. He had, just to give you an idea, he had 86 R&B hits and 80 Billboard Hot 100 pop hits. And I was going to go through all of them, but I don't think I can go through all 80. I'm just going to go through his top 40 hits. So his first top 40 hit was in 1957. It was called Swanee River Rock. That one went to number 34. And then in 1959, he had his first top 10 was called What Did I Say? And it was parts one and two. I guess it was a really long record. You usually hear the whole thing played on the radio, but the whole record's about 6 minutes long, and that was way too long for a single side of a 45. So it got broken up into parts one and two, I guess, on each side of the 45. But excellent song. Later that year, and I'm Moving On, which went to number 40. In 1960, he had Let the Good. Oh, no, that one wasn't a top 40. In 1960, one, he had, actually in 1960, he had his first number one. It was called Georgia on My Mind. Then later that year, he had Ruby, which went to 28. In 1961, he had One Mid Julep, which went to number 8. And he had a second number one, Hit the Road Jack. Pretty excellent song, sung along with the Ray Letts. That one was, yeah, like I said, it was number one. I have a little bit of a funny story about the Ray Letts. I watched a documentary on Ray Charles, and I guess he was kind of a womanizer. I think he even had sex with the Ray Letts, and they even got a reputation. They said if you want to be a Ray Lett, you have to let Ray. I thought that was pretty funny. And then he had You Don't Know Me, which went to number 2, and You Are My Sunshine, which went to number 7. Yeah, I think that was 1962, actually. Yeah. Oh no, I think I skipped some. Yeah. No, he also had his third number one in 1962. I Can't Stop Loving You, and he also had Hide No Hair, Nor Hair, which went to number 20. And I want to say a little bit about I Can't Stop Loving You. That was originally a country hit, and actually Ray Charles did cover a lot of country songs. The way he performed them, they didn't sound like country at all. At least not to me. Uh, I mean, I Can't Stop Loving Me. That was a very country that had a very strong country flavor with a strong, Western country accent. But he turned it into a song that sounds almost like a gospel song. He did a really beautiful version of that song. That one's coming up much higher on my list as a lot of the other ones I'm mentioning are. In 1963, he had Don't Set Me Free, which went to 20. He had Take These Chains From My Head, which went to number 8. No One, which went to 21. Without Love, There's Nothing, which went to 29. And Busted, which went to 4. In 1964, he had That Lucky Old Sun, which went to 20. My Heart Cries Out For You, which went to 38. And Baby Don't You Cry, which went to 39. In 1966, he had Crying Time, which went to number 6. Together Again, which went to 19. Let's Go Get Stoned, which went to 31. And I Chose to Sing the Blues, which went to 32. In 1967, he had Here We Go Again, which went to 15. And The Heat of the Night, which went to 33. And a cover of Beatles' song Yesterday, which I'm sure you guys all know. His version went to number 25. Beatles' version went to number 1. It's considered one of their greatest songs. 1968, he had a cover another Beatles song, Eleanor Rigby. His version went to number 35. And in 1971, he had Don't Change on Me, which went to 36, and Body Butt, which also went to number 36. So those were all the top 40 hits for Ray Charles, pop hits. And like I said, he had many, many other Hot 100 hits and also many big R&B hits. So very, very prolific artist and very excellent, I think. And that completes my profile on "I Got a Woman" by Ray Charles. So thank you for watching. Here's my little thank you dance, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.